Hello, 09 James. Welcome to the shop. I'm just going to give a little overview of what I use in here on most days. Stay tuned. Okay, let's start with the Job Smart. It's the 125 amp flux core welder that I got from Tractor Supply. It was the very first welder that I got, and I use it constantly on certain builds, and when I need something done real quick, I just plug it in and get to welding. It's a 110 volt outlet, and it uses the 030 and 035 wire in there. You could use a 2-pound spool and a 10-pound spool. Right now I got the 030 NR211 Lincoln wire in here, and the plastic drive it's fan cooled. I updated the fan in one of my videos I shown. Okay, the next welder I got is the Forney Easy Weld 100 ST. It's a stick welder, and it can also do TIG welding. It's a 90 amp max power welder, and I did upgrade the cables and the clamp and the rod holder. And I use these with 3/32 rods mostly. These burn real good with the 3/32 rods. Been using the Forney rods with this, and I got some Lincoln rods that I use, the 3/32 and the 6011s that I used with this before. And I did some 6013s with this. This is a real good welder that I use sometimes, mostly for little projects that require a heavier bead with 7018. But this is capable of laying down a good bead, and that I like using sometimes. As you can see, the controls are fairly simple. The bottom is when you're in stick mode, and the top, when you flip it up, that's when you're doing TIG. I don't have the torch for it, but I plan on getting one. And this goes all the way to 90. Okay, this one is the Arco 140 by Amco Power. It's a 140 amp inverter welder. I got it so I can go above 100 amps, and I used the 1/8 rods with these, and I changed out the rod holder, and I'm still using the stock clamp, and I'm still have these cables that came with it, and it uses the DIN 25 input. The controls are fairly simple. It just has a dial on here that goes from 20 all the way to 140 amps, and it has a digital readout. Okay, this is my Hobart Handler 140. It's a MIG welder that requires gas, and as you can tell, it has 5 settings. 1 is the lowest and 5 is the highest, and your wire feed speed right here, and you use the chart that's inside of it to coexist with the settings. It has the aluminum dry feed mechanism, and I'm using the Super Arc LR, the L56, and it's the 035 wire, and it's set up for MIG as of right now. And this is my C25 gas that I'm using with it. Next is my JFO Cut 50 plasma cutter that I recently bought off eBay for $179. The on and off switch is on the front, and your amp settings are in the front along with the regulator. The torch is a PT31, and it did come with consumables, and it has a pressed steel with copper insert for the ground clamp. Plan to replace that later on. And the torch has a swivel head on here. The air water separator is on the back, and I did put quick connect fittings on this one, and this is where the hose goes to the gauge up front, and you set the gauge here, and it did come with the 110 outlet already installed on this. This is my Ryobi Sentience bench grinder that I had for a while. I went ahead and changed the disc out on this one and put a wire wheel so I can do polishing off with the rust and clean off some paint on my materials that I'm welding. This one still has the finer grit stone on it. Next up is my Bauer bandsaw, which I got the 18 teeth Milwaukee blade on it as of now, and I did put a 1/8 plate on here for my cutting deck, and it's on a homemade stand that I made that's clamped into my vise. This is how it locks in there. You just pull this off, clamp it down in there. It just sits right on top, no tightening or anything. I also have this piece of flat stock in here for the trigger. And this is my Harbor Freight 5-speed 8-inch drill press, and I got my oil, my drill bits, on holders that I made. I got the Forge vice clamp. There's a light on here. With the on and off switch right there. And as your toggles, your handles for the drill press. Drill depth indicator. And I do use this practically on every build that I do. I have the two Harbor Freight sanders. I got the 4x36 belt and disc sander, and I got the 1x30 sander. I used the 1" by 30 to grind my hinges, due to the intricate cutting that's on there. And I used a heavy duty 4" by 36 for the heavier stuff. I haven't got the accessories for it. It's in my toolbox. I use this for the heavy stuff, and I use this one for my hinges mainly. They're both good machines. I do like them. I buy what I usually need to use for my fabrication. This is my long shaft die grinder that I use to grind out the holes and stuff that needs grinding down. This is my 3" cutoff wheel, both from Harbor Freight, and I put them on a rack that I made for it also, and a rebar and a 1/8 flat stock. And these are my helmets on the rack that I made also. My leathers. Here's my grinder rack. It has my grinders. I got 2 Black & Decker, and I got 3 Joe Masters from Harbor Freight, and I got a Hyper Tough multi-tool, and I got the Sawzall